Wednesdays. Welcome to Wednesdays with Woody, the podcast, where we interrupt your weekly schedule to bring you this hot ass mess of a show where we'll be discussing everything trending and topical. If you haven't guessed it or you did not receive the memo, I'm your host, Woody Woods, who is always trying to do the most. And I'll be guiding you through these crazy Wednesdays where we'll be discussing all things from mental health to relationships to fitness to pop art to music to whatever is trending and absolutely topical. Since this is the first episode, I would be remiss without just saying thank you for joining in, plugging in, wherever you are in the world to this crazy pet project of mine. So I suppose I should begin with where the idea for Wednesdays with Woody began. And it really began with fruitful, deep, impactful conversations I was having with my friends, family, colleagues, just on life in general, what was happening in the world, politics, music, the things I enjoy the most. And this then just drove me to think, actually, why not put on a production, put something out there in the world, share these conversations. There's so much happening in this life, in this world, that it's always good to connect. Plus, I'm big on talking. I'm big on a good debate. I'm big on anything trending and topical, just for us to unpack and discuss that. So as the weeks roll on during the series, you will hear from different voices, not just mine. You'll hear from my friends, you'll hear from my family, you will hear from different parts of really deep and intenseful conversations that I have in my life. So I suppose without any further ado, let's get started. So let's keep it light because I just don't want to get into anything heavy, but I suspect we'll get into heavier things as we go along. So let's get into it, actually. I don't know how many times I've recorded that, but let's get into it. So something that's been trending this past week is the Netflix series Marry or Move On, hosted by Nick and Vanessa Lachey, which follows 6 couples as they enter an experiment to test their relationship. Now, the series, to say the absolute least, is like watching a slow-moving train about to crash. These couples enter this experiment to really test their relationships, and as the viewer, we get an inkling of some of our own personal experiences in relationships and where we might have faltered or where we could have done better to be better lovers and better partners to the people who we engage in romantic relationships with. But I was taken by the idea that you would do this on such an international platform. It's one thing that your relationship is on the rocks and you decide, actually, let's take a 3-month break to see other people and then come back together, much like we've seen in Sex and the City and other series, just to reevaluate the standing point of our relationship. But to do it so publicly, oh my word. No. Just complete devastation and tragedy is all I was actually thinking about at the beginning of the series. So these couples go through this experience, and I think a lot of them do learn a lot about themselves and a lot about their partners and how they can be better. But it left me with a couple of questions, at the end of it. And on some of these couples, I wonder if they would have gotten as much out of the experience had they done this by themselves as opposed to having it rolled out on TV for consumer consumption, because a lot of it was really heavily toxic. I mean, we were watching people really, go all the way with the people that they were living in. I mean, okay, fine, maybe there wasn't any sex, but there definitely was some fondling happening. And then to come out of the show and really have to engage with the person who you were with while all this was happening, understanding that you were being filmed in some of your most intimate and vulnerable positions, is quite unnerving for me the viewer, but actually it was quite entertaining. But I can only imagine what it felt like for the person who was actually going through this experience, going through these emotions and this whole experience that was just packaged for a whole world to view. I just also, I know I said I wasn't going to go on about the Americans and their age around marriage, but I can't imagine at 20, in your early 20s, deciding that this is the person who you want to live the rest of your life with. And granted, we're all on this planet having our own experiences, going through our own things. Only we truly know when we are ready to settle down and be with someone and give someone our full heart and just immerse ourselves in the idea of marriage, because I don't know, it's just not a joke to me, marriage. I think it is something serious. It is something that you really can't put an ultimatum on or force someone or coerce someone into. You really need to do some in-depth internal observations, whether you're in the right state of mind, whether you're in the right place for marriage. A lot of the excuses that the men gave for postponing marriage was around the finances. I mean, early on I was just like, what a complete cop-out. How can you possibly utilize finances as the means that you're not going to get married to this person because you're not financially secure? Granted, I mean, you always need to take the viewpoint of the whole audience, that some people don't feel comfortable with the idea of getting married until they're earning, I don't know, 6 figures in this day and age. I don't know where you're going to get the money from, but okay. Unless they're earning 6 figures, or they're earning a decent salary to support themselves and a small little family. Once again, I don't know why we're deciding to have children at this day and age. The world is a hot mess. But those are decisions that you have to make in the confinements of your relationship, and to have that rolled out on public TV, oh gosh, devastating, completely devastating. Even the idea of watching your partner fall in love with someone else. And we really did get to see that with two couples. Well, actually with two couples, or two people, or two individuals, whatever. They fell in love on screen. And I remember watching this and thinking, oh my gosh, they look so cute together. I really want them to work out. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this man is taken, boo. He has a whole other girlfriend waiting out back in another apartment with some other dude. And they don't seem to be having this hanky-panky of an experience. They seem to be taking it slow, going through the motions of getting to know someone else and dating. Also, how much can you really learn about someone in 3 to 4 weeks? I think it's virtually nothing. I think in the beginning of every relationship, we put our best foot forward and we try to show the best of ourselves, to the detriment of many relationships. But we try to show the best of ourselves and not show people, actually I'm a bit of a slob, or I don't know, I'm kind of freaky in the bed. I don't know if you're into that, and we create an ideal that allows other people to fall in love with and marry to, as opposed to just showing our true selves and who we truly are. I remember when I started dating my partner, who I've been with for the last 7 to 8 years. I think it's 7 to 8 years. I said to him, I want to see the ugly parts of you. I do not want to see the glossy version of you that you would present to anybody, because if you're going to enter a relationship and build something really long-term with someone, you really want to make sure that you know what you're getting involved with, and in LGBTQIA plus communities, we move pretty fast. Within months, we're already living together and buying furniture together, and we become our whole universes to each other, which also just is another topic for another day. But in the context of the ultimatum, it really did make me question, how much do you know of a person? I remember one character, while watching her, she was busy sitting on a couch, on a couch, I think. And she was looking at her partner and she was saying to him, how much do you know about me? And the question threw me that is an expectation that we require from our partners, to know us inside out, our whole beings, what we love to do, what we hate to do. And I just thought that was just a bit unrealistic. to a large extent, like, how on earth do you expect someone to know you? The person who you are at 22, well, for me, is definitely not the person you present at 28 or 32. You're completely different. You go through many cycles in your life where you change and you become someone different, or you learn something new about yourself which you want to bring to the fore, or you learn things that you want to hide, which also is just problematic, but here we are. How much of our partners can we really know? The Ultimatum, really, it was such a fascinating observation on relationships and how we navigate our way through relationships, because there's some pertinent questions that we never really ask our partners during the course of our relationships. As we get more serious and as we get closer to marriage, then we start really looking at the situation like, oh my gosh, it was really, really nice when you were like 28 and partying up a storm, but now we are like 35, like we need to clean this up. And I don't know, man. It was really an insightful observation into relationships and how we navigate them and how we go through them. Yeah. So that's primarily what's been trending in my life this past week. And I hope to share more observations of things that are intriguing and entertaining to me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of our very first episode of Wednesdays with Woody. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for lending me your time. And thank you for making it this far, listening to me talk about, something that was of interest to me this past week. I hope you join me next week, as it is the beginning of Pride Month. We'll be discussing everything LGBTQ, and I hope that you guys tune in next week to listen to another session of Wednesdays with Woody. Peace out.